Commander Thexal stared at the blue planet through his ship's main viewer. The world looked peaceful from space. White clouds drifted over green and brown land masses. Oceans sparkled under the light of a yellow star. It was hard to believe. This quiet place would soon become a battlefield. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet," reported his communications officer. "They call it Earth." Thexal nodded. The Zephyrian fleet had been running from the void touched for 3 months now. His people were tired and low on supplies. They needed a place to make their stand, and this backwater world seemed perfect. The local species appeared primitive. Their technology readings showed basic metal ships and simple nuclear power. They would be easy to convince. "Put them through." Thexal ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. The creature had pale skin and short brown hair. It wore what looked like a military uniform, though the design was crude compared to Zephyrian battle dress. "I am Admiral Sarah Chun of the Terran Defense Command," the human said. "Welcome to the Sol System. How can we help you?" Thexal was surprised by the calm tone. Most primitive species panicked when alien ships appeared in their space. These humans seemed almost like they had been expecting visitors. "I am Commander Thexal of the Zephyrian hegemony," he replied. "We come seeking aid against a terrible enemy. The void touched threaten all life in this sector of the galaxy." Admiral Chun nodded slowly. "We have detected unusual energy signatures approaching our system. Please tell us more." Over the next hour, Thexal explained the situation. The void touched were biomechanical creatures that consumed entire star systems. They had been at war with the Zephyrian hegemony for over 1,000 years. Now the main void-touched fleet was closing in, and the Zephyrians needed somewhere to make their final stand. "We have chosen your system because it is isolated," Thexal said. "The battle will be fierce, but we promise to protect your world as much as possible. In return, we ask only for permission to use your space and perhaps some basic supplies." Admiral Chun turned to speak with other humans off-screen. Thexal could see them clearly. They wore similar uniforms and had the same calm expressions. These people seemed remarkably composed for a species about to have their first contact with galactic civilization. "We would be honored to help, Admiral," Chun said finally. "However, we have conditions. We want to observe the battle and learn from it. We also want some of your basic technology in exchange for our cooperation." Thexal almost smiled. These primitive creatures wanted to learn about real space combat. How amusing. He decided to be generous. "Of course, we can provide you with some of our older plasma rifles and basic shield generators. Your people can watch the battle from a safe distance." "That is very kind," Admiral Chun replied. "We have prepared several observation platforms that should give us a good view." After the transmission ended, Thexal called his tactical officer. "Over. What do you think of these humans?" "Typical primitive species, sir. Their ships are crude metal boxes using chemical rockets. I detected some nuclear power sources, but nothing sophisticated. They seem friendly enough, though." Thexal looked out at the human ships moving through the system. They did look basic, large, blocky vessels that moved slowly compared to Zephyrian craft. Some appeared to be cargo haulers, others looked like patrol boats. None of them seemed designed for real combat. "Sir, there is something odd," the tactical officer added. "Some of their larger ships show unusual power readings. The signatures are inconsistent with their apparent technology level. Probably just primitive reactor designs," Thexal dismissed. "These people barely understand nuclear fusion. Their energy systems are bound to be inefficient." Near Mars, several human ships were conducting what appeared to be mining operations. Large platforms orbited the red planet, processing asteroids and extracting metals. The humans called them industrial stations, but they seemed heavily built. For simple mining equipment, Admiral Chun was in her office aboard the orbital station, Olympus, when her aide brought in a detailed report on their alien visitors. "The Zephyrians think we are primitive," reported Captain Martinez. "Their sensors are detecting our decoy signatures perfectly. They believe our ships use chemical propulsion and basic nuclear power." "Good," Admiral Chun said. "How long until the void touched arrive?" "Intelligence estimates 4 days. The Zephyrian fleet will likely position itself near Jupiter to use the gas giant's gravity well in their defense." Admiral Chun walked to her window and looked out at Earth. The planet looked so peaceful, but she knew that appearance was deceiving. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. "Signal all defense platforms," she ordered. "Begin final preparations. Make sure the disguises hold until the shooting starts." Captain Martinez nodded and left to carry out his orders. Alone in her office, Admiral Chun allowed herself a small smile. The Zephyrians thought they were dealing with a primitive species using basic technology. They had no idea that human scientists had been monitoring galactic conflicts for over 50 years. Every piece of wreckage from space battles, every intercepted transmission, every refugee ship that passed through human space had been studied carefully. Humanity had learned about galactic technology, politics, and military tactics without ever revealing their presence to the wider galaxy. The approaching battle would be the perfect test of human capabilities. Both the Zephyrians and the Void Touched would expect to fight each other using familiar tactics and weapons. Neither side would be prepared for what humanity had built in secret. On the moon, massive construction projects that had been disguised as research facilities for decades were now revealing their true purpose. Deep underground, weapons that could crack planets were being brought online. In the asteroid belt, mining platforms were rotating to reveal gun barrels the size of skyscrapers. Chun thought about Commander Thexal's generous offer of basic technology. If only he knew that human weapons technology was already centuries ahead of anything his people had developed. The plasma rifles he planned to give humanity were toys compared to what human engineers had created. But the most important advantage humanity possessed was not technological. It was psychological. Every species in the galaxy thought in terms of ancient conflicts and traditional warfare. Humans thought differently. They had studied every military mistake made by galactic civilizations. Over the past 1,000 years, they had learned from everyone else's failures. The Zephyrians expected to fight a defensive battle against an overwhelming enemy. The Void Touched expected to consume another helpless star system. Both sides would soon discover that their assumptions about this primitive world were completely wrong. Admiral Chun activated her communicator. "All stations, this is command. Operation Mousetrap is now in effect. Repeat, Operation Mousetrap is now active." Across the Sol system, human forces began their final preparations. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity was not another victim in an ancient war. They were something far more dangerous, a species that had been preparing for this fight since before either the Zephyrians or the Void Touched knew Earth existed. The trap was set. Now all humanity had to do was wait for their enemies to walk into it. Admiral Kethmer felt the familiar hunger as his bioship entered the edge of the Sol system. The Void Touched had been chasing the Zephyrian fleet for months, and now they had finally cornered their prey near this primitive world. His living ship pulsed around him, its organic walls processing information from thousands of sensory organs. "What do the deep scans show?" Kethmer asked his mind-linked navigator. Images flowed directly into his consciousness. The third planet showed signs of a basic industrial civilization. Chemical rockets moved between worlds. Nuclear reactors provided crude power. Radio signals filled the space around their world with primitive communications. A young species, the navigator reported through their mental link. Perhaps 200 years into their space age. No significant military technology detected. Kethmer felt satisfaction flow through his merged consciousness. The void touched consumed star systems to fuel their endless war machine. A primitive world like this would provide easy resources while they finished off the Zephyrians. 2 victories for the price of 1 battle. Send the advanced scouts, he ordered. Standard intimidation pattern. These primitives will surrender quickly when they see our power. 3 void-touched bioships moved toward the inner system. Each ship was a living creature the size of a city, grown specifically for war. Their hulls were covered in sensory organs, and weapon pods that looked like massive eyes and mouths. To most species, they appeared like nightmare creatures from dark space. Captain Rodriguez was monitoring deep space sensors from Research Station Alpha when the alien contacts appeared. On his screen, the station orbited between Earth and Mars, officially studying solar radiation patterns. In reality, it was one of humanity's most advanced early warning systems. Contact. 3 large biomechanical vessels approaching from outer system. He reported to Admiral Chun, consistent with void-touched scout patterns from our intelligence files. Admiral Chun's voice came back calm and steady. Acknowledged, Alpha Station. Maintain normal operations. Let them get a good look at our primitive technology. Research Station Alpha continued its regular work schedule. The massive rotating habitat looked exactly like what it claimed to be, a scientific research facility studying space weather. Its communication arrays tracked solar flares. Its laboratories analyzed cosmic radiation. Nothing about it suggested military capability. The void-touched scouts approached slowly, their bioships extending sensor tendrils to taste the electromagnetic spectrum around the human station. They detected metal construction, chemical rocket fuel, and basic nuclear reactors. Everything confirmed what their initial scans had suggested, a primitive species, barely capable of space travel. One of the scout commanders established a psychic link with Admiral Kethmer. The local species appears harmless. Their technology is centuries behind galactic standard. Should we demand immediate surrender? Proceed with standard protocol, Kethmer replied. Show them our power. Fear will make the conquest easier. The lead scout ship moved closer to Research Station Alpha. Weapon pods along its hull began to glow with bioelectric energy. It was a standard intimidation display, enough firepower to destroy the station, but held back to allow for surrender. Captain Rodriguez watched the alien ship approach on his main screen. The creature was beautiful in a terrifying way, its hull rippling with patterns of light that looked almost like breathing. He activated his communication system. Unknown vessel, this is Research Station Alpha. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. The response came as a psychic broadcast that human receivers translated into spoken words. Primitive species, you are now property of the void touched. Surrender your technology and prepare for integration into our collective. Resistance will result in consumption. Captain Rodriguez looked at his tactical officer and nodded. Lieutenant Kim activated a hidden control panel that had been disguised as part of the station's atmospheric monitoring system. Unknown vessel, Rodriguez replied calmly. You have entered Terran space without permission and threatened a research facility. Please withdraw immediately. The void-touched commander felt amusement through the bioship's shared consciousness. These primitives actually thought they could make demands. It was time to demonstrate reality. You have chosen consumption, the alien broadcast. Witness the power of the void touched. 3 bioelectric cannons fired at Research Station Alpha. The beams were designed to disable the station's power systems and leave the crew helpless, but alive for processing. The beam struck what appeared to be the station's main communication array. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire array began to rotate, revealing that what looked like a simple radio dish was actually something much more sophisticated. "Warning shot detected," Captain Rodriguez announced over an open channel. "Research Station Alpha to all vessels. We are under attack. Engaging defensive systems." The communication array completed its rotation and fired. The beam that emerged was invisible to normal sensors, but its effects were immediate and devastating. The lead void-touched scout ship simply vanished, converted to energy in a fraction of a second. The two remaining scouts felt their companion's death scream through their shared mental link. "Impossible," Admiral Kethmer whispered from his command. "Ship at the edge of the system. What weapon was that?" Lieutenant Kim checked her instruments at Research Station Alpha. "Direct hit. Target eliminated. No debris detected." Captain Rodriguez opened a channel to the remaining scout ships. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force. You have fired upon a research facility in human space. Stand down immediately or be destroyed." The two surviving void-touched scouts retreated quickly, their bioships trembling with shock and confusion. Through their psychic link, Admiral Kethmer felt their terror and disbelief. A primitive space station had just vaporized one of their most advanced scout ships with a single shot. "Full scan of the system," Kethmer ordered. "I want to know what we are really facing." Deep scans revealed disturbing information. The cargo ships moving through the system were accelerating at rates that should have turned their crews into paste. The mining platforms around Mars were showing power signatures that didn't match their apparent technology level. Most troubling of all, some of the asteroids in the belt were moving in patterns that suggested they were artificial constructs Dr. Sarah Park was working in her laboratory aboard Mining Platform 7 when the alert came through. Like all human facilities in the system, the platform had been designed to look primitive while hiding advanced capabilities. Her asteroid processing facility was actually one of humanity's most sophisticated weapons research centers. "All stations, this is Admiral Chun," came the broadcast. "Void-touched forces have fired on a Terran facility. All personnel are authorized to defend themselves using any necessary means." Dr. Park activated her workstation's hidden functions. Around Mining Platform 7, dozens of asteroids began to change. What had appeared to be simple space rocks revealed themselves as heavily armed defense satellites. Each one had been carefully camouflaged to look like natural debris. Admiral Kethmer watched in growing horror as the Sol system transformed before his sensors. Mining platforms rotated to reveal massive gun batteries. Cargo ships deployed weapon systems that his bioships couldn't identify. Worst of all, the space around the third planet began to shimmer as some kind of energy field activated. "Sir," his navigator reported through their mental link, "we are detecting at least 40 major weapons platforms throughout the system. Power readings suggest each one could destroy a battleship." "How is this possible?" Kethmer demanded. "Our scouts reported a primitive civilization." The answer came from an unexpected source. Admiral Chun's voice appeared on every void-touched ship simultaneously, broadcast through a communication system that bypassed their bioorganic defenses entirely. "Admiral Kethmer of the Void-Touched Fleet," she said calmly. "This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the Terran Defense Command. You are trespassing in human space and have committed acts of war against Terran facilities. You have 30 minutes to withdraw your forces beyond the heliopause, or we will consider you a hostile invasion." Force. Kethmer's bioship shuddered around him as it tried to process how these primitives had penetrated their secure communications. Through his link with the fleet, he felt the fear and confusion of his other commanders. "Impossible," he broadcast. "Back. You are a primitive species. Our sensors detect only basic technology. Your sensors detect what we want them to detect, Admiral Chun replied. Humanity has been monitoring galactic civilization for over 50 years. We know exactly how your technology works. We also know its weaknesses. As if to demonstrate her point, every human facility in the system suddenly began broadcasting on frequencies that the Void Touched had thought were secret military channels. The primitives were using Void Touch communication protocols perfectly. How? Was all Kethmer could manage. We learn from our enemies, Admiral Chun said simply. Every ship you have lost in your 1,000-year war, every piece of technology, scattered across space, every intercepted transmission, we have studied it all. We know you better than you know yourselves. Commander Thexal arrived in the Sol system expecting to find his human allies under attack by the Void Touched. Instead, his sensors showed something impossible. The Void Touched fleet was holding position at the edge of the system, apparently afraid to advance. Several of their scout ships were missing entirely. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Admiral Kethmer, reported his communications officer. He requests immediate conference. Thexal was confused. Kethmer was his oldest enemy, a creature. He had fought across dozens of star systems. The Void-Touched Admiral had never requested a conference before. They usually just attacked. Put him through, Thexal ordered. Kethmer's bioship appeared on the screen, its organic surface pulsing, with unusual patterns. The Admiral looked shaken, his normally confident demeanor replaced by something that looked almost like fear. Thexal, Kethmer said without his usual threats, what do you know about these humans? They are a primitive species, Thexal replied. Puzzled. Basic technology, simple metal ships. Why do you ask? Because they just destroyed 3 of my scout ships with weapons I have never seen before, Kethmer said. Their primitive technology readings are fake. These creatures have been hiding their true capabilities. Thexal felt cold fear in his stomach. If the humans had been lying about their technology level, then his entire plan was based on false information. He quickly ordered a deep scan of the human forces. The results were disturbing. The cargo ships his tactical officer had dismissed as crude were showing acceleration patterns that defied physics. The mining platforms around Mars were radiating energy signatures that matched heavy weapon systems. Most alarming of all, some of the asteroids in the belt were clearly artificial. This cannot be right, Thexal whispered. Admiral Chun's voice suddenly filled both command bridges simultaneously. Gentlemen, I believe introductions are in order. I am Admiral Sarah Chun, of the Terran Defense Command. Welcome to Sol System. Both alien commanders stared at their screens in shock. The human woman appeared calm and professional, as if having 2 hostile fleets in her system was a normal occurrence. How are you penetrating our secure channels? Kethmer demanded. The same way we have been monitoring your communications for the past 50 years, Admiral Chun replied. We have been studying both of your civilizations very carefully. We know your languages, your technology, your military tactics, and your weaknesses. Thexal felt the universe shifting around him. But your ships, your technology readings, are exactly what we wanted you to see, Admiral Chun said. Did you really think a species capable of interstellar travel would be as primitive as we appeared? We have been preparing for this day for decades. As if responding to her words, the Sol system began to transform. Asteroid mining stations revealed themselves as massive weapons platforms. Their mining equipment rotated away to show gun barrels the size of city blocks. The cargo ships moving between planets suddenly accelerated at impossible speeds, deploying weapon systems that neither alien fleet could identify. Captain Martinez was aboard the heavy cruiser New Geneva when the order came through. Like all human ships, the New Geneva had been disguised to look like a simple cargo hauler. Bulky external cargo pods hid advanced armor plating. Primitive-looking engines concealed gravitic drive systems that could bend space itself. "All ships, this is Admiral Chun," came the broadcast. "Operation Mousetrap is now active. Reveal all systems and prepare for combat operations." Martinez smiled as his ship began its transformation. External cargo pods ejected to reveal sleek weapon arrays. The ship's hull reconfigured itself, showing lines of elegant design that had been hidden beneath fake industrial equipment. Most impressive of all, the ship's gravity drives came online, allowing it to maneuver in ways that would crush any organic crew. Both alien fleets watched in growing horror as the human forces revealed their true nature. What had appeared to be a primitive industrial civilization was actually the most advanced military they had ever encountered. "Impossible," Thexal breathed. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since our first contact with galactic civilization," Admiral Chun replied. "Every refugee ship that passed through our space, every piece of battle debris we collected, every intercepted transmission taught us something new. We learned about your wars, your weapons, your mistakes. Most importantly, we learned that every galactic civilization eventually destroys itself through endless conflict." The moon suddenly split open like a mechanical flower. Both alien commanders watched in stunned silence as the satellite revealed itself to be a massive artificial construct. Shipyards that could build vessels the size of small moons became visible in the lunar interior. Weapons that could crack. Planets emerged from hidden bays. "We decided," Admiral Chun continued, "that humanity would be different. We would not repeat the mistakes that destroyed every other species in the galaxy. Instead, we would learn from those mistakes and build something better." Admiral Kethmer's bioship trembled around him as it processed the implications. "You used us," he said. "Our war, our conflict, all of it was research for you. We used your mistakes to avoid making our own," Admiral Chun corrected. "Every battle you fought taught us something about galactic military technology. Every tactic you used showed us what worked and what failed. We took the best of both your civilizations and improved upon it." Jupiter's orbital space suddenly filled with activity. What both fleets had assumed were weather monitoring satellites revealed themselves as coordinated defense platforms. Hundreds of them, each one capable of launching weapons that could destroy capital ships. Dr. Elizabeth Reeves was monitoring the revelation from Deep Space Observatory 1, hidden in the asteroid belt. As head of Human Xenobiology Division, she had been studying alien technology for 30 years. Every piece of Zephyrian and void-touched equipment that humanity had secretly acquired had passed through her laboratories. "Admiral," she reported over the command channel, "both fleets are showing signs of psychological shock. Recommended we proceed to Phase 2 of the demonstration." "Acknowledged, Dr. Reeves," Admiral Chun replied. "All stations initiate Phase 2 throughout the system." Human installations began demonstrating capabilities that neither alien species had imagined possible. Mining platforms fired particle beams that could cut through the strongest known armor. Patrol boats deployed energy shields that could stop any known weapon. Most terrifying of all, some human ships simply vanished from sensors entirely, using stealth technology that made them invisible to both organic and mechanical detection systems. "Your turn," Admiral Chun announced to both fleets. "You came here looking for a primitive species to use as a battlefield. Instead, you found the most advanced military civilization in the galaxy. Now you have a choice to make." Thexal felt his confidence crumbling. The humans he had planned to protect were clearly capable of destroying both fleets without significant effort. "What choice?" he asked weakly. "You can continue your 1,000-year war and face the consequences," Admiral Chun said, or you can accept that there is now a new power in the galaxy. One that has studied your conflicts and learned from your failures. One that is tired of watching civilizations destroy themselves through endless war. Admiral Kethmer understood the implication immediately. You intend to intervene in our conflict. We intend to end it, Admiral Chun corrected. Both of your species are too valuable to waste on pointless warfare. You have technologies and knowledge that could benefit the entire galaxy if properly directed. We are offering you the chance to be part of something greater than your ancient hatreds. The two alien commanders looked at each other across the communication link. For the first time in 1,000 years, they were united in something absolute. Terror of what humanity represented. And if we refuse? That's all, asked. Admiral Chun's expression remained calm, but something cold flickered in her eyes. Then you will discover why humanity chose to remain hidden until we are ready to reveal ourselves. We did not build this military to conquer the galaxy. We built it to save the galaxy from itself. Around them, the Sol system hummed with barely contained power. Weapons that could sterilize entire worlds waited for orders. Ships that could travel faster than any known technology stood ready to carry war to distant stars. Most frightening of all, this demonstration was clearly just a small sample of humanity's true capabilities. The trap had been sprung perfectly. Two ancient enemies found themselves facing a species that had turned their entire war into a learning experience, and now possessed the power to end conflicts that had raged for millennia. The age of galactic warfare was ending, whether the galaxy wanted it to or not. Admiral Chun stood in the command center of Olympus Station, watching the displays that showed both alien fleets frozen in space. Neither the Zephyrians nor the Void Touched dared to move. Their ships hung in the darkness like frightened animals, suddenly aware they were being hunted by something far more dangerous than themselves. Admiral, reported Captain Martinez from his position at the tactical station. Both fleets are requesting permission to withdraw from the system. Denied. Admiral Chun said calmly. They wanted to use our space as a battlefield. Now they can stay and learn what that really means. Dr. Elizabeth Reeves entered the command center carrying a datapad filled with information that would terrify both alien species. As head of the Xenobiology Division, she had spent decades studying every piece of alien technology that humanity had secretly collected. The biological analysis is complete, she reported. Both species show the expected stress responses. Their command structures are breaking down as they realize the true situation. Admiral Chun nodded. Begin Phase 3. It's time they understood exactly what they're dealing with. Across the galaxy, sleeper ships that had launched from Earth decades earlier suddenly came online. These vessels had traveled to the home systems of both the Zephyrians and the Void Touched, using stealth technology that made them invisible to all known sensors. They had been waiting patiently for this moment. In the Zephyrian home system of Kepler Prime, what appeared to be a small asteroid suddenly revealed itself as a human warship. The vessel was tiny compared to the massive space stations defending the planet, but it carried weapons that the Zephyrians could not imagine. Unknown vessel, identify yourself immediately, demanded the Zephyrian defense commander. This is Captain Sarah Kim of the Terran Navy ship Prometheus, came the calm reply. We are here to deliver a message from Admiral Chun. The Zephyrian commander felt ice in his veins. These humans had somehow placed a ship in their most heavily defended system without being detected. How is this possible? We have been exploring the galaxy for much longer than you realize, Captain Kim replied. Every star system, every military installation, every secret base, we have mapped them all. We know where you live. Similar scenes were playing out in void-touched space. Human ships revealed themselves near their breeding worlds, their factory. Systems, their command centers. Each appearance sent shock waves through the alien hierarchies as they realized their most protected secrets were known to humanity. Back in the Sol system, Commander Thex All was experiencing the collapse of everything. He thought he understood about the galaxy. "How long?" he asked Admiral Chun. "How long have your people been watching us?" "Longer than your current government has existed," Admiral Chun replied. "We detected the first signs of your war when humanity was still learning to build space stations. We have been studying your conflict ever since." She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy from humanity's perspective. Thousands of points of light indicated human observation posts, research stations, and military bases. The network covered every major star system and trade route. "Every battle you fought, we observed," Admiral Chun continued. "Every weapon you developed, we analyzed. Every tactical mistake you made, we learned from. We turned your entire war into the greatest military education in galactic history." Admiral Kethmer's bioship was writhing in distress as it processed the implications. Through their psychic link, he could feel the terror of his entire species as they realized how completely they had been monitored. "You made us into laboratory specimens," he said. "We made you into teachers," Admiral Chung corrected, "though you never knew you were teaching us. Every innovation your species developed to fight the Zephyrians was secretly copied and improved by human scientists. Every biological adaptation your ships made was studied and replicated in our own technology." Dr. Reeves stepped forward with her data pad. "Would you like to know what we learned?" She asked both alien commanders. "Your Zephyrian plasma weapons are efficient, but they rely on unstable energy matrices that can be disrupted. Your void-touched bioships are impressive, but they have a weakness to specific electromagnetic frequencies that we discovered decades ago." She activated another display showing detailed schematics of both alien technologies. The level of detail was terrifying. Every component, every weakness, every possible improvement was documented with scientific precision. "We didn't just study your weapons," Dr. Reeves continued. "We studied your psychology, your tactics, your command structures. We know exactly how both species think and fight. We have war-gamed every possible scenario involving your civilizations." Colonel James Park, the head of Human Strategic Intelligence, appeared on the communication channel from his office on Mars. "We also know about your secret agreements," he announced. "Both species have been developing superweapons in hidden facilities. The Zephyrians are building a star-killer device in the Vega system. The Void-Touched are growing a bioship the size of a small moon in the Centauri region." Both alien commanders went pale. These were their most classified projects, known only to their highest military leaders. "How?" Nexal whispered. "Because we have been inside your governments for decades." Colonel Park replied, "Every major decision, every secret meeting, every classified document, human intelligence has been watching it all." Admiral Chun brought up another display that showed the true scope of human infiltration. Trade ships that had visited alien ports were actually intelligence vessels. Diplomatic missions had included spy equipment. Even some of the refugees from the war had been human agents in disguise. "The greatest advantage we possessed was not our technology," Admiral Chun explained. "It was that neither of your species imagined we existed. You fought your war in front of an audience that was learning everything about you, while revealing nothing about ourselves." Captain Martinez reported from his station. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 Zephyrian ships and 12 void-touched vessels." "Denied," Admiral Chun said. "No one leaves until this conversation is finished." She turned back to the alien commanders. "You want to know the truth? Humanity could have revealed ourselves decades ago. We could have ended your war at any time. We chose not to because we were not ready." "Ready for what?" Admiral Kethmer asked. ready to take responsibility for the galaxy, Admiral Chun replied. Because that's what revealing ourselves means. Once the galaxy knows about human capabilities, we become responsible for maintaining peace. We become the power that other species turn to when conflicts arise. The weight of her words settled over both alien fleets. These humans were not just another species with advanced technology. They were positioning themselves as the ultimate authority in galactic affairs. Your war ends now, Admiral Chun announced. Not because we are forcing you to stop, but because continuing it is pointless. We have technology that makes your weapons obsolete. We have strategies that make your tactics useless. Most importantly, we have the will to enforce peace whether you cooperate or not. Dr. Reeves activated one final display. It showed human colonies throughout the galaxy, all hidden from alien detection until now. Hundreds of worlds, millions of people, entire fleets of ships that had been built in secret over the past century. We are not a primitive species that stumbled into your war, Dr. Reeves explained. We are a galactic civilization that chose to remain hidden until we were ready to end all wars. That time is now. Commander Thexall stared at the displays showing human capabilities that dwarfed anything his people had achieved. What happens to us now? That depends on your choices, Admiral Chun said. You can accept that the age of endless warfare is over and help us build something better. Or you can cling to your ancient hatreds and discover why humanity spent so much time preparing for this moment. Around them, the Sol system demonstrated exactly what those preparations had created. Weapons that could destroy fleets waited in the asteroid belt. Ships that could cross the galaxy in days hung ready for deployment. Most terrifying of all, this was clearly just the beginning of what humanity could reveal. The galaxy's greatest predators had been unmasked, and they were human. 6 months after what galactic historians now called the Sol Incident, Ambassador Thexall walked through the halls of the new Galactic Council building on Luna. The structure was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, built with human technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Gravity flowed in impossible directions, and walls showed images of distant star systems in real time. Beside him walked his unlikely companion, Ambassador Kethmer. The former void-touched admiral had undergone biological modifications to survive in the station's atmosphere, but his presence still made other species nervous. 6 months ago, the idea of a Zephyrian and a void-touched working together would have been impossible. Now they served as co-ambassadors, their species' first joint venture in over 1,000 years. The humans terrify me, Kethmer admitted as they approached the council chambers. Not because of their weapons, but because they were right. Thexall nodded grimly. Their plan is working. Trade routes that were battlefields 6 months ago are now peaceful shipping lanes. Species that have been enemies for centuries are signing cooperation agreements. The Sol Incident had changed everything. Word of humanity's reveal had spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Every species had heard the story of 2 ancient enemies who discovered they were nothing compared to the patient predators, who had been watching them for decades. In the council chambers, representatives from dozens of species sat around a circular table. At the head sat Admiral Chun, now holding the title of Director General of Galactic Security. The position had been created specifically for humanity after every major government in the galaxy had independently decided they needed human protection, more than they feared human dominance. The Andorian Mining Consortium and the Kalish Trade Federation have reached an agreement on mineral rights in the Proxima sector, reported Secretary Kim, a human diplomat who managed the day-to-day operations of galactic peace. Admiral Chun nodded approvingly. Excellent. That leaves only the border dispute between the Centauri Republic and the Vegan Alliance unresolved. Ambassador Veltar of the Centauri Republic shifted nervously in his chair. 6 months ago, his people had been preparing for war, with the vegans over 3 star systems with valuable resources. Now the thought of military action seemed absurd. Everyone knew what happened to species. It chose warfare over diplomacy in the new galactic order. Director General, Veltar said carefully, perhaps human mediation could help resolve our differences with the vegan alliance. Perhaps, Admiral Chun replied. But first, tell me why these 3 systems are worth risking the peace we have. All worked to build. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Everyone in the chamber knew the real meaning behind her words. Was any dispute worth attracting the serious attention of human military forces? Ambassador Zextra of the Vegan Alliance quickly spoke up. Actually, we have been reconsidering our position. Perhaps a joint development agreement would benefit both our peoples. An excellent suggestion, Admiral Chun said with a slight smile. Secretary Kim will help you draft the details. Captain Martinez entered the chamber and approached Admiral Chun with a datapad. As head of human fleet operations, he coordinated the ships that now patrolled every major space lane in the galaxy. Director General, the quarterly patrol reports show a 97% reduction in military conflicts across all monitored sectors, he reported. Most remaining incidents are quickly resolved through communication rather than combat. Any problems? Admiral Chun asked. The Orion pirates attempted to raid a shipping convoy near the Rigel system, Martinez replied. The merchant vessels transmitted a standard distress call. And the response? Human patrol ship Ranger arrived within 8 minutes. The pirates surrendered immediately upon identifying the responding vessel. This had become the new normal across the galaxy. Criminal groups that once operated with impunity now surrendered rather than face human intervention. Everyone had heard stories about what happened to those who chose to fight. Human Forces Dr. Elizabeth Reeves entered the chamber carrying her daily briefing materials. As head of the Galactic Research Coordination Office, she managed the sharing of scientific knowledge between species that had once guarded their secrets jealously. The joint research project on quantum communication is ahead of schedule, she reported. Zephyrian energy matrix technology, combined with void-touched biological processors, is producing remarkable results. We should have instantaneous communication across galactic distances within the year. Admiral Chun was pleased. Any resistance to technology sharing? Less each month, Dr. Reeves replied. Most species have realized that cooperation with human research initiatives provides access to advances they could never achieve independently. This was another part of humanity's strategy that had surprised the galaxy. Instead of hoarding their superior technology, humans had established research partnerships that allowed other species to contribute their specialized knowledge. The result was scientific progress at a rate no single species had ever achieved. Ambassador Thexal raised his hand for recognition. Director General, I have a question from my government. When will human forces begin withdrawing from our systems? The chamber fell silent. This was the question every species wanted answered, but few dared to ask directly. Human ships patrolled their space lanes, and human observation posts monitored their military activities. When would the Watchers leave? Admiral Chun considered the question carefully. When they are no longer needed, she said finally. When every species in the galaxy has learned to resolve conflicts through negotiation rather than warfare. When the threat of returning to the old ways of endless war is gone. And if that never happens? Ambassador Kefner asked. Then human forces will remain as long as necessary to maintain peace, Admiral Chun replied. We did not reveal ourselves to the galaxy only to watch it destroy itself again. Secretary Kim activated a large display showing current galactic status. Trade was at historic highs. Scientific cooperation was producing breakthrough discoveries monthly. Most importantly, military spending across all species had dropped to levels not seen in centuries. The results speak for themselves, Admiral Chun said. Every species represented in this chamber is more prosperous and secure than they were 6 months ago. Your people live longer, your economies are stronger, and your children grow up without the threat of war. She stood and walked to the chamber's main window, which looked out over the lunar surface and toward Earth beyond. Some of you fear human dominance, she continued. You worry that we have become galactic overlords. But consider this. When was the last time any human ship fired a weapon in anger? The ambassadors thought about this. Despite their overwhelming military superiority, human forces had not engaged in actual combat since the Sol incident. They served as peacekeepers and mediators, but violence was always their last option. We are not conquerors, Admiral Chun explained. We are gardeners. We create conditions where peace and prosperity can grow naturally. The galaxy is finally becoming what it could always have been, a community of civilizations working together instead of fighting each other. On Earth below, 8-year-old Maya Chun was asking her teacher about the strange alien visitors she sometimes saw in the news broadcasts. Their ships looked so different from human vessels, and the aliens themselves seemed nervous whenever they spoke to human officials. Teacher, why do the aliens always look scared when they talk to grandmother? Maya asked. Her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, smiled at the innocent question. Maya's grandmother was Admiral Chun, but to the child she was just the woman who brought interesting gifts from her travels and told stories about distant worlds. Because they remember what it was like before humans helped them learn to get along. Mrs. Rodriguez explained. Sometimes people need someone stronger to help them stop fighting and start working together. Like when you stop playground fights? Maya asked. Exactly like that, Mrs. Rodriguez agreed. Your grandmother and the other humans help stop fights between different alien peoples, so they can all be friends instead. Maya nodded thoughtfully. That's good. Fighting is mean. Back on Luna, the council session was ending with another successful day of peaceful problem-solving. As the ambassadors filed out, many of them reflected on how much their lives had changed since humanity revealed itself. Dex-Al and End Kethmer walked together toward their shared diplomatic quarters. The former enemies had become close friends, united by their shared experience of witnessing the birth of a new galactic age. Do you think they planned all of this? Kethmer asked. Not just the military superiority, but the peace that followed? Dex-Al considered the question. I think they understood something that we never did, that someone has to be willing to. Be strong enough to end wars, even when it means taking responsibility for maintaining peace forever. And humans chose that burden? Humans chose to save us from ourselves, Dex-Al replied, whether we wanted to be saved or not. They paused at the window looking out at Earth, the blue world that had changed everything. Somewhere down there, human children were growing up in a galaxy where war between civilizations was becoming just a story from the past.